Sam, and I'm here in San Diego at lovely Kate Sessions Park. Those of you who know San Diego area know this beautiful park. It's right near my house. And I'm making a quick video about the recent changes. You know, we've recently had both Jupiter move into Libra and Rahu move into, Rahu Ketu move into the Cancer Capricorn axis. So these just happened in the last few days, which of course that's big when planets move and change signs, especially long-term, or I should say the long-range planets like Jupiter, Saturn, and the nodes in particular. They set new cycles for the next year and a half. So the implications of that are, of course, now we're at least getting much more settled in this Jupiter in Libra energy, which is that energy of social justice, law, being inspired, which is Jupiter, and finding teachings that connect us to things that are more cultural, things that are more, personal. This includes understanding and deepening our appreciation and understanding of each other and relationship, and the capacity to compromise and to see other people's views equal to our own. All of those things are going to be big lessons for the next year, and we're really now just starting to settle into that, especially for the next couple weeks as Jupiter settles into Libra. He just moved in. I would say exact was like 9/11, 9/12, September 11th, September 12th. And, of course, it depends on the exact iamnumtia that you use, but it's right around that. And we're settling into this exact, shift now. So once it crosses over the threshold, then we start to settle into it, and it starts to become real, whereas the last couple weeks or so, as Jupiter was grinding toward that 28, 29, of Virgo, it's almost like what it felt like was the sort of sense of hope and purpose, and the thing that's inspiring you is kind of ending, it's kind of waning. And this is what happens when planets are at the end of a previous sign before they go into the new sign. It's kind of like something going like this, and we're kind of like, I'm not sure. I don't feel very inspired about much of anything. I'm kind of just confused about what inspires me, and it's kind of the sort of maybe negative quality of that sign that it's leaving. So for example, the sort of difficult quality of Virgo, which is about hair splitting, bean counting details, and losing the bigger picture, losing the bigger picture, which is Jupiter, in all of the details, which is the negative quality of Virgo. That's been pretty prevalent for the last couple weeks. But then as soon as it crosses over the threshold into Libra, and those more difficult qualities of Virgo, then start to be resurrected by the qualities of Libra. So now we're starting to get that sort of, okay, I'm feeling like I want a sense of community. A sense of community will inspire me. A sense of, how to get along better with others, and diplomacy and those kinds of things will be more inspiring. So we're starting to get a sense of that now as Jupiter has crossed over into Libra. Of course, with the nodes, they're a slower transit, and the nodes have been hanging out at like less than 1 of Leo, for like the last month or so, actually more than that. Now, that's if you use the true node calculation. If you use the mean node, then Rahu has been in Cancer for a couple weeks, and Ketu in Capricorn. So again, depending on the mean node and the true node calculation, we've either already had Rahu in Cancer and Ketu in Capricorn, or it's been at the cusp. But either way, by the way, I use the true node simply because it shows obviously the true position of the nodal calculation. And the reason is because, just like for the same reason that we use an exact position of any retrograde planet, the aggregate motion of Saturn through a sign is about 2.5 years. But if we just tracked its mean position, which is what the mean node is you just calculate the time that it takes on average to get through the sign, and then just divide that by the 30-degree portions. That's not very reliable, just like because it takes Saturn 2.5 years to get through a sign, it would be like not calculating its retrograde and forward motion. So the mean node calculation to me is just not as accurate. But again, because, especially because Rahu was, Rahu is the more active end of the node, so we usually see that principle in life more actively, more active in, daily life. Because that's been at that Gandanta point between Leo and Cancer for the last month or so, actually longer if you extend the range of the Gandanta, and it's going to be there for several months more. Then either way, we've been experiencing that sort of confusion about, power and feeling and whatnot, regardless. So again, the node, Rahu especially has been sort of bouncing, Rahu and Ketu have been bouncing back and forth between those exact cusps for a while. But still, especially using, and again, this is sidereal, and the Lahiri Ayanamsha, so, again, it's depending on the mean node calculation and the Ayanamsha, but seeing, in fact, both of these they both changed at the same time using the Lahiri Ayanamsha on the same day. I believe it was the 12th. I believe it was yesterday was the exact day. I'm recording this on the 13th. So again, you may start to feel some of these things that you've been confused about and hesitating on, feeling more confident about moving forward in them. One of the other reasons that I'm making this video as well, and it's to, I'm about to start my certification course again for this year. We already have more than 60 people registered. Well, I'm sure we'll have 70 to 80 people registered like we always do, but I actually extended it an extra week. I extended the registrations an extra week. It was supposed to start on the 21st, but I extended it to start on the 27th to accommodate this kind of shift, because again, we already have a lot of people registered, and I'm sure we're going to get to the numbers that we always get to, because there's still, I don't know, there's probably 14,000 people on the email list that are interested. But again, when things are at this cuspy point, things are at this point of uncertainty and not moving forward, again, people are hesitant. So I'm given that extra week or so. And I've been doing a lot of, video conferencing and talking to people, showing them around the site, showing them around, and really showing people the sense of connection and community that we've been able to integrate into the course, especially this year, now that we've integrated the video conferencing, a huge addition to the courses. Before we would, we would actually also check in with conference calls like on the phone. Sometimes, it's noisy and it's much more disconnected, but the video conferencing aspect of the course is fantastic. It means that for literally 9 months, actually more than each month, or about every month for 9 months, you get to literally have video conferencing calls with me and all of the students, all in the same space. And if you haven't seen the video conferencing, it's really good, because literally, like, you see each other's face and you can interact with each other. And again, we already have 60 registered, so I'm sure it'll be 75, 80 people like it has been for the last several years in the level 1. So just to let people know, this is one reason why, sometimes people say, well, how come you offer, discount or like early registration, and then you open it back up again, and then all of that. Again, this is what happens. I don't ever know how many people are going to register, so I have to accommodate people as they join. And so sometimes I have to stop, and then you open it back up again. And again, the early registration usually sells out probably even a couple weeks ago. But again, because everything has been so in flux, not to mention the eclipses and all the stuff, it's been a lot of energy, on the cusp. So I just pushed it back a little bit. And so again, there's still the opportunity, but again, we're starting on the 27th. So I usually have to close the registration by, by about a week before So at this point, as you're seeing this on like the 13th, we have at least about another week where you can register. And again, you know, look at the deal, the offer. It's really, you know, for what you get, the value and the connection. You know, it's like 9 months of intensive training, not just with me, but with my whole staff, program manager. People grade your homework. We really take you through and make a commitment to you learning, and not just learning the material, not just digesting the material, but actually implementing it and practicing it. You know, as I've said many times, and as I say over and over again to my students, especially as they're thinking about studying, you don't need to learn more stuff. You don't need to gather more information. You've gathered plenty of information probably. Or even if you haven't, even if you're a beginner, this course actually takes you from the very beginning and organizes and builds on the next step when it's supposed to come. And you can look at the testimonials on the certification course site, and the fact that it's been, you know, hundreds of graduates. You know, really, very rarely do people have any issues with the course. And you know, when they do, it's usually because they've maybe studied with someone else. But again, there's even a grace period where, you know, we're checking you out as you're checking us out, because we're making a commitment to teach you for 9 months. And if you're not happy, we don't want you in the course either. So all that's just secondary. Check it out and look and see. And if you want to really make a commitment to your Vedic astrology education, then we're there to do that. This is what I do in my work. You know, my life's work really revolves around educating people. And again, the course speaks for itself. It's not on trial anymore. In fact, it's been tested and vetted and proven now. This will be the 6th year that we've done it, and it's getting better all the time. We even upgraded a couple things last year in the curriculum, but in both level 1 and level 2, and this year adding video conferencing. It's really a good deal, and we'd love to have you. I'd love to be teaching people this pure, traditional Vedic astrology. And again, everything is from the sastras, it's from the scriptures. It's not me just making stuff up. That includes all themes and issues, whether it comes to the zodiac, whether it comes to all of the calculations, and you know what? Everything is straight from Bharat Prash or Horus Sastra. Everything is quoted directly from the scripture, so you know why I'm saying what I'm saying. But it's modernized. It's brought into modern language, modern, you know, form and function, and some fantastic bonus classes as well. Things like, you know, Vedic astrology, and it's actually called Quantum Vedic Astrology, where I talked a lot, this whole course, where I talk about karma and the brain on the level of neuroscience, and how your brain and what modern neuroscience considers, you know, your psychological patterning is actually directly shown in Vedic astrology, and then how we take that pattern and brain and create the world on the quantum level through quantum physics. And again, it's not just abstract. I'm actually talking about things like the triune brain in neuroscience, and also things like the reticular activating system, and literally how your brain processes information and creates things like change blindness and seeking affirmation, and all of these logical, you know, fallacies and cognitive biases that we have in the brain, how you see that astrologically, and then how we take the aggregate of that brain and project it into the world and create the world on the quantum level. And again, I'm not just talking about it theoretically. You'll learn about quantum physics, literally, like the double slit experiment, you know, entangled particles, the casino effect, all of the things that forms the basis of quantum physics. And by the way, I've had some pretty advanced students in my courses before, several PhDs, and actually one person who is a quantum physicist, and he said, man, the way you explained even just quantum physics in such a succinct, you know, coherent way is great, because I have a hard time explaining quantum physics to people, or at least the principles, and you just were able to sum it up in its most important points and then connect it to astrology. It was pretty remarkable. So this was from a quantum physicist. I didn't even know it, that's what he did, but to get that kind of validation. Anyway, so these are just bonus courses. I have another bonus course called Yoga and Vedic Astrology. Of course, I wrote that book that brings all the yogic and Vedic astrological concepts together. That's a 12-hour course that I taught in yoga studios that you know, again, these are just bonuses that really help you understand the deep connections. And then I also have, you know, the other bonus course that's a long course is on the lunar nodes. Literally, this was taught over 4 days in Mexico with, you know, these were live classes that were taught. Students asking me all kinds of questions, breaking down the lunar nodes every way you can imagine them, like joined planets, joined, you know, in their house axis, sign axis. A lot of live interaction with people sitting right in front of me and me talking about that and them going, oh my God, that's amazing. So anyway, these are, you know, these are things that are available to you if you did want to study further. If not, that's fine too, but I made this video both for people, you know, just as a general update, but also to let people know where I am right now and why there's been a delay in the course starting. It's only been a week, but because we're in so much transitional energy right now, I wanted to just reconnect and say we're at the last push now in the certification course, and things should start clarifying for you around what's going to be inspiring you for the next year. Jupiter's moved into Libra. Notice these inspirations that revolve around, again, social justice, connecting with others, a sense of community. These are things that you're going to want in your life for the next year because Jupiter is in Libra. Jupiter moving into Libra, you're going to want that kind of inspiration. You're going to want to be inspired by others. You're going to want to have a sense of what's called satsang and community, particularly as it revolves around things like sacred teachings and something like, you know, obviously something like Vedic Astrology, having an online astrology community. I bet you'll really like that. Again, you can find that in many ways, but I also offer this course, and I happen to know that people who take the course are really happy they did, and this part of the course really delivers, having this virtual online community. Again, people all over the world staying in contact through the forums and the classes. Check out the details of the course, whether you get it or not, obviously, because I know most people watching this won't, but I hope you're starting to feel this energy shift. And with Rahu going into Cancer as well, we're shifting away from the sort of personal, you know, power of Leo and wanting to really assert our individuality and more toward connecting to the heart, feeling intuitively what's right. And I'll be talking more about that obviously as we go forward, and I did a whole web class on that as well that you can find. But either way, I hope this video finds you well. One more look at the beautiful San Diego. It's a little overcast here. It's been really hot here, but this is lovely. This lovely park here in San Diego. I'm so blessed to live a mile from it, so namaste.